It only takes a few minutes of talking to this eminent surgeon to know that she is still traumatised by what happened to her.
I got touched inappropriately in the very first case that I did, so within 2 hours of starting the job. For the entire 4 months that I managed to stick with that rotation, I was either touched inappropriately or had inappropriate comments, inappropriate phone calls, and yes, was just constantly trying to escape sexual harassment in one way or another, and until I couldn't take it anymore.
A trainee at the time in 2014, she was sexually harassed by this man, transplant surgeon James Gilbert, once described as the golden boy of his department at Oxford University Hospital's NHS Trust.
During the 4 months, I tried as much as I could to avoid being near him in theatres or clinics, to my own detriment in my own training. And just one day I broke down. It was a Monday morning, I'd come in, just knowing it was going to be another day of trying to avoid him, and I just couldn't take it anymore.
Eventually, a number of other women came forward and the Trust sacked James Gilbert. They also referred him to the General Medical Council, who in turn sent it to the Medical Practitioners Tribunal Service, where he was found to have sexually harassed 4 of his female colleagues. But they only gave him an 8-month suspension. Even the GMC thought this wasn't enough, and they went to court and asked for him to be erased, to be struck off the medical register. The court instead added 4 months to that suspension, so 1 year in total. Now the MPTS is under the spotlight, accused of failing abused doctors.
The Medical Practitioners Tribunal Service.
Our doctor said nothing prepared her for the process. Mistakenly, though not surprisingly, she even called it a trial.
A week before the trial, you get your statement as it's going to be used in the court, and 80% of it was redacted, just black on a page. And part of you feels broken that you've gone through all this effort to produce this statement, and now none of it's going to be used.
In fact, the tribunal did eventually order her statement to be unredacted. She described to us falling on the floor of the meeting room and sobbing.
We met with legal counsel on the day, just for a couple of minutes in the morning, and that was it. And then it was straight to cross-examination. And basically, it was as if I was on trial, and I was made to feel like a liar.
And now there are calls for major reform of the way the MPTS deals with sexual misconduct cases. In an editorial for the BMJ Journal, senior doctors say, for instance, aggravating factors such as grooming, manipulation and coercion are not recognised in MPTS sanctions guidance.
Even if the panel members recognised that this was happening, there was no way to formally factor that into their decision making. And then furthermore, there are inconsistencies that don't match up to GMC good medical practice guidance. For instance, the GMC recognise that in sexual misconduct reporting is often very delayed, but one of the mitigating factors in the tribunal sanctions guidance was delayed reporting would lessen the sanctions. So those are completely incongruent.
And research for the Royal College of Surgeons has found that in nearly 1 in 4 cases of sexual misconduct, the MPTS sanctions were more lenient than the GMC had recommended. All were male doctors, with more than 80% holding positions of authority. And of the proven cases, 65% were struck off, while 35% resulted only in a short suspension.
The investigative teams and the tribunal panel members need very highly specialised training. That needs to be research and evidence-based training. And they almost need specialist teams who understand the nuances and the complexities of sexual misconduct, number one. Number two, there are huge disparities in the support available for defending doctors versus the victims of sexual predators.
And it takes little to find other cases. A 12-month suspension for a doctor who had sexual relationships with a teenage patient. The same for a doctor found to have raped a young woman. The panel described it as a one-off attack. And a doctor who left a patient during an operation to have sex with a nurse faced no sanctions. Mr Gilbert told the MPTS that the disciplinary process had been humbling, humiliating and deeply shameful. He said he was a different person and a fundamentally changed practitioner from the doctor whose conduct led to the complaints being raised, and he apologised for his behaviour.
8 months compared to what we suffered. I don't think it acts as a deterrent, which is the whole point. It does feel like a legal system, and it does feel like an injustice.
One member of the tribunal.
The MPTS told us they will shortly publish updated guidance to assist tribunals in reaching consistent and well-reasoned decisions. Mr Gilbert, who was not criminally convicted, has now been reinstated to the medical register and is able to practice again.